World War II was one of the biggest and most important wars in history. It started in 1939 and ended in 1945. This war involved many countries from around the world. Some of the main countries were Germany, Britain, France, the United States, the Soviet Union, Japan, and China. It changed the world in many ways and taught people very big lessons. Before the war started, the world was already facing many problems. After World War I, many countries were poor and weak. People did not have enough food or jobs. Some leaders promised to make their countries strong again. One of these leaders was Adolf Hitler from Germany. He became very powerful and wanted to control more land. This made other countries worried. The war started when Germany invaded Poland in September 1939. Britain and France then declared war on Germany. Soon, more and more countries joined. Some joined the Allies, and others joined the Axis powers. The war spread across Europe, Asia, Africa, and even the Pacific Ocean. It became a global war. During the war, people showed great courage. Soldiers fought in very hard conditions. Many families waited at home, hoping their loved ones would return safely. Some people helped each other by sharing food, clothes, and shelter. Children learned to be strong and brave. Everyone played a role in helping their country. World War II was not only about fighting. It was also about ideas and hope. People were fighting for freedom, peace, and justice. They wanted a better world for the future. Some terrible things happened during the war, like the Holocaust, but people did not give up. They believed they could make the world right again. In the end, the war helped to bring new hope. Countries came together to create peace. The United Nations was formed to stop future wars. New laws were made to protect human rights. After so much sadness, people began to rebuild their homes and their lives. World War II was a time of pain, but also a time of learning. People learned how strong they could be. They learned that working together is better than fighting. They learned that freedom is very important. Today, we remember World War II not only to think about the past but to learn for the future. The war shows us how important peace is. It tells us why we should stand up against hate and support each other. It helps us understand the value of kindness, courage, and unity. This video will tell the story of World War II in a simple and clear way. Each chapter will help you learn about the events, the people, and the lessons of the war. As you listen, remember, history is not just about the past, it is a guide to a better tomorrow. Chapter 1. The Rise of Totalitarian Regimes. After World War I, many countries in Europe were weak and poor. People were unhappy. They did not have jobs, money, or enough food. They wanted strong leaders to fix their problems. This situation helped totalitarian regimes to rise. A totalitarian regime is a government where one person or one group has all the power. People cannot vote freely. They cannot speak freely. The government controls everything, including the media, schools, and even what people think. One of the most famous totalitarian leaders was Adolf Hitler in Germany. After World War I, Germany was very poor. Many people had no work. Hitler promised to make Germany strong again. He blamed other groups for Germany's problems, especially Jewish people. In 1933, he became the leader of Germany. He called himself the Führer. He made the Nazi Party very powerful. The Nazis controlled the police, schools, newspapers, and radio. People who spoke against Hitler were put in jail or killed. In Italy, Benito Mussolini became the leader. He started the first totalitarian regime in Europe. Mussolini told the people that Italy should become a great empire again, like in Roman times. He created the Fascist Party. He also controlled the media and punished people who did not agree with him. In the Soviet Union, Joseph Stalin was the leader. He wanted to make the country strong by controlling farming and factories. He forced people to work hard. Many people who disagreed with him were sent to prison camps or killed. Stalin's government controlled every part of life. People lived in fear, but they could not speak freely. In Japan, military leaders also took control. They believed that Japan needed more land and power. The army became stronger and started taking over other countries in Asia. The government taught children to love the emperor and to obey orders without question. These totalitarian leaders used fear, lies, and violence to stay in power. They wanted to control their people completely. They used propaganda to tell people what to believe. Propaganda is false or one-sided information used to change people's minds. At first, many people believed these leaders would help their countries. They liked the strong speeches and big promises. But soon, they saw the truth. These leaders did not bring peace. Instead, they prepared for war. The rise of totalitarian regimes was one of the main causes of World War II. These governments did not respect other countries. They wanted to grow bigger and stronger by taking land and power. Their actions caused fear and tension across the world. In this chapter, we learned how totalitarian leaders became powerful after World War I. In the next chapter, we will see how the world moved closer to another great war. Chapter 2. The Outbreak of War, Invasion of Poland. The Second World War began on September 1, 1939, when Germany invaded Poland. This was a very important event. It was the moment when peace ended and war started in Europe. Germany was led by Adolf Hitler, who wanted to make Germany bigger and more powerful. He believed that Germans needed more land. He also wanted to take back land that Germany lost after World War I. One of these areas was part of Poland. Before attacking Poland, Hitler made a secret deal with the Soviet Union. This was called the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. In this agreement, Germany and the Soviet Union promised not to fight each other. They also agreed to divide Poland between them. This gave Hitler the confidence to start the war. On the morning of September 1, 1939, German soldiers, tanks, and planes crossed the border into Poland. This was called Blitzkrieg, which means lightning war in German. It was a fast and strong attack. German planes dropped bombs on cities and military bases. Tanks moved quickly across the land. Polish soldiers tried to fight back, but they were not strong enough. The Polish people were shocked and afraid. Cities were destroyed, and many people died. The German army used very modern weapons. Poland did not have enough tanks or planes to stop them. After just a few days, it was clear that Poland could not win. On September 3, 1939, Britain and France declared war on Germany. They had promised to protect Poland. This is how World War II officially began. But they could not help Poland quickly. Germany was too fast and powerful. On September 17, 1939, the Soviet Union also invaded Poland from the east. Now, Poland was attacked from both sides. By the end of September, Poland was defeated. Germany took the western part, and the Soviet Union took the eastern part. The Polish government escaped and continued to fight from other countries. The Polish people suffered a lot under German and Soviet rule. The invasion of Poland showed how dangerous Hitler's plans were. He wanted to take more land and control more people. The world now understood that he would not stop. This invasion was the first step in a long and terrible war. This chapter teaches us that war can start very quickly. It also shows that peace must be protected. The invasion of Poland changed everything. It ended the quiet time after World War I and began a new, bigger war. In the next chapter, we will learn how Germany continued its attacks in Europe and how other countries were affected. The story of World War II was just beginning, and many more events were yet to come. Chapter 3. The Fall of France and the Battle of Britain. After Germany invaded Poland in 1939, World War II had begun. Britain and France declared war on Germany. But for a few months, not much happened. This time was called the Phony War. People waited, but there was no big fighting. That changed in 1940. In May 1940, Germany started a new attack in Europe. This time, they went after France. German soldiers quickly moved through Belgium and the Netherlands. They used a strong and fast method called blitzkrieg, or lightning war. German tanks and planes moved quickly and surprised the French army. The French army and their British allies were not ready for this. Germany's tanks went through a forest called the Ardennes, which people thought was too thick for tanks. But the Germans proved them wrong. They came from a place the French did not expect. In just 6 weeks, France fell. German soldiers marched into Paris on June 14, 1940. The French government had to surrender. This was a big shock to the world. France, a strong country, was defeated so quickly. Now, only Britain was left to fight against Hitler in Western Europe. Hitler thought that Britain would give up or make peace. But Winston Churchill, the new Prime Minister of Britain, said no. He gave strong and brave speeches. He told the British people to fight on and never surrender. Because Britain is an island, Germany could not send tanks. So Hitler decided to attack from the air. This started the Battle of Britain in July 1940. German planes tried to destroy British cities, airports, and factories. The goal was to prepare for a German invasion. The German Air Force was called the Luftwaffe. They had many planes. But Britain had a good Air Force too, called the Royal Air Force, RAF. British pilots flew small and fast fighter planes. They also had a special system called radar, which helped them see when German planes were coming. The battle was very hard. German planes bombed London and other cities at night. This time was called the Blitz. Many people died, and buildings were destroyed. But the British people stayed strong. Children were sent to the countryside. Families hid in shelters. Everyone helped in some way. In the end, Britain won the Battle of Britain. The RAF stopped the German Air Force. Hitler gave up his plan to invade Britain. This was the first big defeat for Germany in the war. The fall of France and the Battle of Britain were two very important events. France's defeat showed how powerful Germany was. But Britain's victory gave hope to the world. It showed that Hitler could be stopped. In the next chapter, we will see how the war spread even further into the vast lands of the Soviet Union. Chapter 4: Operation Barbarossa and the Eastern Front. In June 1941, something very big happened in World War II. Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, broke its agreement with the Soviet Union. Even though they had signed a peace deal in 1939, Hitler did not want peace anymore. He wanted more land, food, and power. So, on June 22, 1941, Germany started a surprise attack on the Soviet Union. This attack was called Operation Barbarossa. It was the largest land invasion in history. Over 3 million German soldiers took part. They used thousands of tanks, trucks, and planes. The German army moved quickly and attacked from different directions. The Soviet Union was surprised and not ready. Many towns and cities were taken in the first few weeks. The German plan was to capture 3 main cities: Leningrad in the north, Moscow in the center, and Stalingrad in the south. Hitler thought the Soviet Union would fall quickly, just like France. But he was wrong. At first, the Germans won many battles. They pushed deep into Soviet land. Many Soviet soldiers were captured or killed. But the Soviet Union was a very big country. The people were strong, and the winter was very cold. When winter came, the German army had big problems. They did not have warm clothes or enough food. Their tanks and trucks stopped working in the snow and ice. Soviet soldiers used this chance to fight back. The Soviet army began to grow stronger. They received help from other countries, like the United States and Britain. One of the hardest battles was the siege of Leningrad. German soldiers surrounded the city for almost 900 days. People in Leningrad had no food, water, or heat. Many people died, but they did not give up. The city stayed strong. Another very important battle was the Battle of Stalingrad. It lasted from 1942 to 1943. German and Soviet soldiers fought street by street. It was one of the bloodiest battles in history. In the end, the Soviet Union won. This was a turning point in the war. After Stalingrad, Germany began to lose. The Eastern Front was very big and very hard. It stretched from the Arctic Ocean in the north to the Black Sea in the south. Millions of soldiers fought on this front. Many people, both soldiers and civilians, died. Towns and farms were destroyed. Operation Barbarossa showed that Hitler's plan to take over the Soviet Union had failed. The Soviet people fought with great courage. They protected their land and their homes. Slowly, they started to push the Germans back. In this chapter, we learned about Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union and the terrible battles that followed. The Eastern Front was one of the most important parts of World War II. In the next chapter, we will travel across the world to the Pacific, where another great battle began after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Chapter 5: Pearl Harbor and the War in the Pacific. While war was happening in Europe, another part of the world was also becoming dangerous. This was the Pacific region. One of the most powerful countries in Asia at that time was Japan. Japan wanted to control more land and resources. It had already taken parts of China and other countries in Asia. The United States did not agree with Japan's actions. America wanted Japan to stop taking land and hurting people. So, the US stopped selling oil and other goods to Japan. This made Japan angry. The Japanese leaders thought war with the United States was coming. They decided to attack first. On December 7, 1941, Japan attacked a U.S. Navy base called Pearl Harbor, in Hawaii. It was a surprise attack. Early in the morning, Japanese planes flew over the base and dropped bombs. Many ships were damaged or destroyed. Over 2,400 people were killed. The American people were shocked and sad. The next day, on December 8, 1941, the United States declared war on Japan. This meant the war was now truly a world war. A few days later, Germany and Italy, who were Japan's allies, also declared war on the United States. Now, America was fighting in both Europe and the Pacific. The war in the Pacific Ocean was very different from the war in Europe. Most of the fighting happened on islands and at sea. Japan quickly captured many islands, including the Philippines, Malaysia, and parts of Indonesia. Their army was strong and well-trained. But the United States also had a strong navy. In 1942, the U.S. began to fight back. One of the most important battles was the Battle of Midway in June 1942. American forces won this battle and destroyed many Japanese ships and planes. It was a turning point in the Pacific War. After that, the U.S. and its allies used a plan called island hopping. They went from one island to another, fighting the Japanese and slowly moving closer to Japan. Battles were hard and often in hot, jungle areas. One of the toughest battles was on the island of Iwo Jima. The war in the Pacific showed great bravery on both sides. Soldiers fought in difficult places and conditions. Many people lost their lives. But slowly, the Allies began to win. The attack on Pearl Harbor changed everything. It brought the United States into the war and made it a global fight. It also showed how quickly war can begin and how much damage it can do. In the next chapter, we will learn about life during the war. What was it like for the people at home? How did they help in the war effort? Let's find out what happened on the home front during World War II. Chapter 6: Life on the Home Front and Wartime Propaganda. During World War II, not everyone was a soldier. Many people stayed at home, but they still played a very important role. This life at home during the war is called the home front. People worked hard to help their countries win the war. In many countries, life changed a lot. Men went to fight in the war, so women took their places in factories and farms. Women worked in places like weapon factories, building tanks, planes, and bombs. This was new for many women, but they were proud to help. Food was another big problem. Because of the war, it was hard to get food and other goods. So governments started rationing. This meant people could only buy small amounts of food, clothes, or fuel. Families got special books with stamps to use at shops. People also grew their own food in small gardens called victory gardens. Children helped too. They collected metal, rubber, and paper for recycling. In schools, they learned how to stay safe during air raids. People built air raid shelters, and when sirens sounded, they would run inside to hide from bombs. Even though life was hard, people stayed strong. They wrote letters to soldiers and sent them care packages. Communities came together and helped one another. Songs, radio shows, and movies kept people hopeful and united. Another big part of life during the war was propaganda. Propaganda is information made to shape people's thoughts and feelings. Governments used it to encourage people to support the war. Posters, films, and radio messages asked people to work harder, save food, and stay strong. In Britain, posters said things like, "Keep calm and carry on." In the United States, a famous poster showed a strong woman named Rosie the Riveter with the words, "We can do it." This told women they could help win the war too. In Germany, Japan, and other Axis countries, propaganda was used to support their leaders and their ideas. Sometimes it included lies or hate messages. This type of propaganda tried to control what people believed and who they trusted. During the war, news was controlled by the government. People did not always know the full truth. But even with less information, they wanted to help. Propaganda made people feel proud and part of something bigger. Life on the home front was full of sacrifice. People gave up many things: food, comfort, even family members. But they also found strength and unity. Their work at home was just as important as the battles on the front lines. In this chapter, we learned how ordinary people helped during the war and how governments used propaganda to keep the spirit high. In the next chapter, we will talk about one of the darkest parts of the war, the Holocaust and the terrible crimes that happened during that time. Chapter 7: The Holocaust and Crimes Against Humanity. World War II was not only a time of fighting between countries. It was also a time of great pain and sadness for many people. One of the most terrible parts of the war was the Holocaust. This was the name for the killing of millions of innocent people, mostly Jewish people, by Nazi Germany. The leader of Germany, Adolf Hitler, believed in dangerous and false ideas. He thought that some people were better than others. He blamed Jewish people for Germany's problems. These ideas were full of hate, and they led to great suffering. When the war started, Germany took control of many countries. In these countries, the Nazis arrested Jewish people and other groups, like Roma, Gypsies, disabled people, homosexuals, and political opponents. These people were forced to leave their homes. They were sent to ghettos, which were crowded and dirty areas with little food or medicine. Later, the Nazis built concentration camps and death camps. The most famous one was Auschwitz in Poland. In these camps, people were treated very badly. Many were forced to work like slaves. Many others were killed in gas chambers. Families were separated. Children were taken from their parents. Over 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. Some people tried to help. Brave men and women hid Jewish families in their homes. Some helped them escape to other countries. But it was very dangerous to do so. If the Nazis found them, they could be killed too. The Holocaust is called a crime against humanity. This means it was not just a crime against one group, but a crime against all people. It showed what can happen when hate and lies are not stopped. The world was shocked when the truth about the camps was discovered. After the war ended, the world said, "Never again." Trials were held in a city called Nuremberg, where the leaders of Nazi Germany were punished for their crimes. These were called the Nuremberg trials. For the first time, the world said that leaders could be punished for hurting innocent people. The Holocaust teaches us many lessons. It shows us the dangers of hate, racism, and silence. It also shows us the importance of speaking up for what is right. Even today, we remember the victims of the Holocaust so that such crimes never happen again. In this chapter, we learned about one of the darkest parts of World War II. It is not easy to hear these stories, but they are very important. We must always remember the people who suffered and died. In the next chapter, we will learn about the turning points in the war, the big battles where the Allies began to push back and move toward victory. These events helped to bring hope to the world once more. Chapter 8, Turning Points, El Alamein, Stalingrad, and Midway. World War II lasted for many years. At first, it seemed like Germany, Italy, and Japan were winning. But then, things started to change. Some very important battles helped the Allies, the group of countries fighting against the Axis powers, to fight back. These important battles are called turning points. In this chapter, we will learn about three of them: El Alamein, Stalingrad, and Midway. The Battle of El Alamein happened in North Africa in October 1942. At that time, German and Italian forces were trying to take control of Egypt and the Suez Canal, which was very important for trade and travel. The British Army, led by General Montgomery, stopped them near a place called El Alamein. The battle was very hard. Tanks and soldiers fought in the hot desert. But after many days, the British won. This was a big success. It was the first time the Allies had stopped the German army on land. After El Alamein, the Germans began to lose ground in North Africa. Next came the Battle of Stalingrad in the Soviet Union. This battle started in August 1942 and lasted until February 1943. It was one of the biggest and deadliest battles in history. Germany wanted to take the city of Stalingrad to gain more power in the east. The city was very important to the Soviet people. Fighting in Stalingrad was terrible. Soldiers fought street by street, building by building. The winter was very cold. Many soldiers had little food. But the Soviet army did not give up. In the end, they surrounded the German soldiers and forced them to surrender. Over 100,000 German troops were captured. The Soviet victory at Stalingrad was a major turning point. It gave hope to the Allies and showed that Hitler could be defeated. From that point on, the German army began to lose in the east. The third turning point happened far away in the Pacific Ocean. It was the Battle of Midway in June 1942. Japan had been winning many battles and taking control of islands. But the United States Navy wanted to stop them. At Midway Island, the U.S. was ready for the Japanese attack. American planes found and sank 4 Japanese aircraft carriers. This was a huge loss for Japan. After Midway, Japan could no longer attack easily. The United States began to win more battles and push Japan back. These 3 battles, El Alamein, Stalingrad, and Midway, were very important in World War II. They were the moments when the Allies began to take control. They gave hope to people all over the world who wanted peace. In the next chapter, we will learn about the next big step, D-Day, and how the Allies started to free Europe from Nazi control. Chapter 9, D-Day and the Liberation of Europe. By 1944, the Allies were getting stronger. They had won important battles in North Africa, the Soviet Union, and the Pacific. Now, they wanted to free Europe from Nazi Germany. This plan started with a very big and brave event called D-Day. D-Day happened on June 6, 1944. On this day, thousands of Allied soldiers landed on the beaches of Normandy, in France. France had been under German control for 4 years. The Allies wanted to take it back and move across Europe to defeat Hitler. D-Day was the largest sea invasion in history. It was called Operation Overlord. Over 150,000 soldiers from countries like the United States, Britain, and Canada took part. They used boats, airplanes, and parachutes to land on 5 main beaches. These beaches had special code names: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. The beaches were full of danger. The Germans had guns, mines, and walls to stop the soldiers. The fighting was very hard, especially at Omaha Beach, where many soldiers lost their lives. But slowly, the Allies took control. People in France were very happy to see the Allied soldiers. They waved flags and gave them flowers. Many had waited a long time for freedom. The success of D-Day was the beginning of the liberation of Europe. After Normandy, the Allied soldiers moved across France. In August 1944, they freed Paris. The people of Paris cheered and celebrated. The German army began to retreat. More countries were being freed, one by one. At the same time, the Soviet Union was pushing from the east. Their army was also freeing countries like Poland, Romania, and Hungary. The Allies and the Soviets were getting closer to Germany from both sides. The Germans tried one last big attack in December 1944, called the Battle of the Bulge. It was a surprise attack in Belgium, but the Allies stopped it. After that, Germany became weaker and weaker. By the spring of 1945, Allied forces were inside Germany. On May 7, 1945, Germany surrendered. This day is called Victory in Europe Day, VE Day. People around the world celebrated. The war in Europe was finally over. D-Day and the liberation of Europe showed great bravery, teamwork, and hope. Soldiers from many nations worked together to fight against evil and bring back freedom. It was a turning point that changed history. In this chapter, we saw how the Allies freed Europe step by step, starting with the beaches of Normandy. In the next and final chapter, we will learn about how the war ended in the Pacific, with the dropping of the atomic bombs and the world's hope for peace. Chapter 10: The Atomic Bomb and the End of the War. By 1945, the war in Europe was over. Germany had surrendered, and people were celebrating. But the war in the Pacific was still going on. Japan was still fighting. The United States and its allies wanted the war to end quickly. They knew that if they invaded Japan, many soldiers and civilians could die. So, they made a very big and serious decision. The United States had created a new and very powerful weapon. It was called the atomic bomb. This bomb was different from all other bombs. It could destroy an entire city in just a few seconds. The U.S. worked on this bomb in a secret project called the Manhattan Project. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped the first atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The bomb exploded with great force. It destroyed the city and killed over 70,000 people instantly. Many more people were hurt or became sick later. Buildings were turned to dust, and the sky was filled with smoke. Even after this, Japan did not surrender. So, on August 9, 1945, the U.S. dropped a second atomic bomb on another city called Nagasaki. Again, the damage was massive, and tens of thousands of people died. After the second bomb, Japan finally agreed to stop fighting. On August 15, 1945, Japan surrendered. This day is known as Victory over Japan Day, VJ Day. The war was now over. After 6 long years, World War II had ended. The atomic bombs ended the war, but they also brought great sadness. Many innocent people died. The world saw how dangerous and powerful these new weapons were. After the war, many people began to ask questions. Should the bombs have been used? Could the war have ended in another way? Even today, people remember the bombs and the pain they caused. But they also remember the end of the war and the beginning of peace. After the war, leaders from many countries met to build a better world. They created the United Nations to help stop future wars. They wanted to protect human rights and work for peace. World War II changed the world forever. Over 60 million people died. Cities were destroyed. But people also showed great courage, kindness, and hope. Soldiers, nurses, workers, and ordinary people all helped in their own way. In this chapter, we learned how the atomic bomb brought a quick but painful end to the war in the Pacific. We also saw how the world came together to try to build peace. Thank you for listening to the story of World War II. It is a story of war, but also of strength, unity, and the dream for a better future. Let us remember the past, so we can build a world of peace. Vocabularies. 1. Invasion, noun. The act of an army entering another country by force to take control of it. 2. Rationing, noun. A system of controlling the amount of food, fuel, or goods people can buy during a shortage. 3. Propaganda, noun. Information used to influence people's opinions, often not completely true. 4. Surrender, verb, to stop fighting and admit defeat in a war. 5. Concentration camp, noun, a place where large numbers of people are kept as prisoners in very bad conditions, especially during a war. 6. Liberation, noun, the act of setting someone or a country free from control or slavery. 7. Siege, noun, a military operation where soldiers surround a place and cut off supplies, trying to force people inside to give up. 8. Aircraft carrier, noun, a large warship that carries airplanes and lets them take off and land at sea. 9. Allies, noun, the group of countries that fought against Germany, Italy, and Japan in World War II. 10. Atomic bomb, noun, a very powerful bomb that can destroy large areas and kill many people instantly. Quiz questions. 1. What event marked the official start of World War II in 1939? 2. Which agreement did Hitler break when he attacked the Soviet Union in 1941? 3. What was the name of the largest sea invasion in history that began the liberation of France? 4. Which city in the Soviet Union saw one of the deadliest battles of the war between German and Soviet forces? 5. What was the name of the surprise Japanese attack on a U.S. naval base in 1941? 6. What system was used to control the amount of food and goods people could buy during the war? 7. What term is used for the killing of 6 million Jews by Nazi Germany? 8. What battle in North Africa was the first major land victory for the Allies? 9. What was the name of the bomb dropped by the United States to end the war with Japan? 10. What international organization was created after World War II to help keep peace in the world? Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed learning with us. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends and family. Your support helps us grow and bring you more inspiring stories and easy English learning content. Do you have a topic you'd like us to cover in our next video? Maybe a famous person, an invention, or a country? Let us know in the comments or messages. We'd love to hear your ideas. You can find answers in the description. Thanks again, and keep learning with us. See you in the next video.